Hi, I'm Neil Beck. I was a doctor in Perth, Western Australia for 53 years. Sorry about the delay. I got tangled up with the technology this morning and I'm not sure that I'm properly connected, but let's go. As a doctor in Perth for 53 years, mostly a family doctor in the suburbs, I had 500,000 consultations, home and hospital visits. And in the early days, because we hadn't had a medical school in Perth, we were short of specialists, so family doctors did a lot of things that they don't do today. I helped to bring 800 babies into the world. I treated lots of gut, chest and head problems, did lots of appendectomies and tonsillectomies, and mended broken bones, broken families, and tried to help broken hearts. The conclusion I came to was that the 7 most important things in having a good life were, first of all, mental health. In the developed countries, we've got enough of everything, and if you've got mental health, you'll sooner or later get everything you need. But if you haven't got mental health, if you're mentally unhealthy, you may sometimes be very distressed and not have the things that you want and have things that you don't want. The second most important thing in life is enough good relationships. Humans need humans. People need people. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived very close together in small groups in nature. Not less than 30 because they had to protect one another from the wild animals. Not more than 150 because then there wouldn't be enough food within walking distance, because there were no gardens, no farms, no factories. People hunted and gathered for what they needed. So these groups of 30 to 150 people lived together for the whole of their life, and they were very similar because they were members of extended families, and there were no brick walls, so they lived very close. And that's what our genes and our chemistry are geared for, and we still need it today. The third most important thing is high endorphins chemistry. We produce over 20 endorphins, that is endogenous morphines, in our brain and glands, and they help to relieve pain and stress, without which our lives would be intolerable. But sometimes we don't produce enough endorphins. And the fourth most important thing is our immune system. We have an immune system of cells and antibodies and chemistry in every part of our body that fights infections, allergies, inflammation, autoimmune diseases, and cancers. And without a strong immune system, people get sick and die young. So our fifth need, physical health, is based on high endorphins and a strong immune system. The sixth thing we need is a good home. Home is so important, and we should think about and start to plan and save for our home as early as possible. And many people don't do that, and they end up without a good home, which is a terrible handicap for having a good life. And of course, item number 7 is good employment. The conclusion I came to was that the worst problem, the people who suffered most and got the worst or least help were people with mental health disorders who subsequently developed addictions. If a person had mental health problems that were serious enough and they didn't get the help they needed, which was common, they sooner or later got help on the streets, and the help on the streets was always addictive because the helpers on the streets want you to become an addict so they can get all your money. So the conclusion I came to was that there were never going to be enough mental health help for all the people that needed mental health help. And this particularly affected the low-income people, and the people with mental health problems who usually had the lowest incomes and needed the most help simply couldn't afford it. The free public clinics had very long waiting lists, and the private mental health specialists cost too much. So what were we going to do about this great problem that the worst mental health problems were mental health and addiction problems, and there was never going to be enough mental health help and addiction help for people with those problems? I came to the conclusion that the problem was that the mental health and addiction tools were weak. There were two main tools. The first was medicines, taking medicines, but so many medicines were addictive. The commonest mental health problems were anxiety, worry problems, and all the worry, anxiety medicines were addictive. Originally, it was the old barbiturates, and then it became the benzodiazepines, the wonderful Valium, Seropax, Xanax, Mogadon, but they were all addictive. And Ambien and Silnox was addictive. And the three main medicines for ADD, ADHD were addictive. That was Ritalin, dexamphetamine, and Adderall. And that created terrible problems because the authorities made it illegal for family doctors to initiate treatment with those addictive ADD, ADHD medicines, and most families with ADD, ADHD had poor jobs and poor incomes, and they couldn't afford the pediatricians and psychiatrists who were authorized to diagnose and treat ADD, ADHD. So that caused terrible problems. And not only were lots and lots of medicines addictive, they were too slow. Nearly all medicines were swallowed, tablets or capsules usually, and when you swallow a tablet or a capsule, it takes half an hour to an hour to go right down your gut and start to be absorbed into your bloodstream and start to help you. Half an hour to an hour to start to help you, and 1 to 2 hours before it's working strongly. And that's just too slow for many mental health distresses and for addiction cravings. The other main tool was talk therapy, consultations, counseling, CBT, whatever you like to call it, psychotherapy. That was too slow. Talk therapy was too slow. You needed an hour with a new patient with mental health problems, and we just didn't have enough hours. And the other weakness of talk therapy was that it was too costly, because to become a therapist required a long, expensive, difficult training. You at least had to have a 4-year Bachelor of Psychology, but preferably a Master of Psychology or a PhD, and to become a psychiatrist took 10 or 12 years. You needed a 6-year general medical degree, and then some general medical practice, and then 3, 4 or 5 years of postgraduate psychiatric training. So 10 or 12 years to become a psychiatrist, and 4 to 7 years to become a psychologist. So those people had to be paid well. So talk therapy was very costly. So because talk therapy was slow and costly, there were long waiting lists. And the longer people waited, the more they suffered, and problems caused more problems, which caused more problems, and then more of them would finally seek relief for their problems on the streets, where everything was addictive. So what was the solution to the problem that there was never going to be enough mental health care for all the people that needed mental health and addiction care? I came to the conclusion that what was needed was self-help mental health and addiction tools. People had to be able to help themselves if they couldn't get someone else to help them. And so I started 22 years ago to make tools that people could help themselves with. The early tools were checklists, 20 question checklist, and then the next tool was videos. There's no faster, more convenient, better, less costly way to understand your mental health problems than to watch the right 1-minute videos on those problems. When you consult a psychologist or a psychiatrist, when you walk out the door, most people are fairly confused, and it's a week or a fortnight or a month before they see their counsellor again. But with videos, you can watch them over and over and over again as soon as you like, until you get the message, until you understand them. So mental health videos. My first mental health video about 15 years ago was 10 minutes, and it got 10,000 viewings in 9 months, which was very good. So I made another 9 videos, but slowly over the years people stopped watching those 10-minute videos, and then I found that what they were watching was TikTok 1-minute videos. So then I made 83 under a minute videos, which cover all aspects of mental health, what you want, what you need, and the solutions. But which of the 83 videos do you watch? The next tool was websites. A website which is still up, called mentalhealthvideos.a-to-z.com, mentalhealthvideos.a-to-z.com, which gave a list of all the videos. But people wanted a shorter website, so now I have the shorter website, smilefixit.com, and everything is on smilefixit.com, although we're in the process of revising that and making it much clearer and simpler and plainer. Everything seems to take so long. The next tool was an app. The checklists were too slow, and what we realized was that apps were what people wanted. So we made the Mental Fix-It app. And the Mental Fix-It app asks 19 questions, and you can tap your choice of answers to the 19 questions in 4 or 5 minutes and get an instant report. So now you can go to your phone's App Store or Google Play button, tap it, and download the free Mental Fix-It app. In 4 or 5 minutes, tap the your choice of answers and get an instant report, and the instant report tells you 4 things you need. First of all, it tells you which 6 of our 83 under-a-minute videos will help you most, and it tells you what all your problems are that you've tapped on as problems in order of severity or importance. Some mental health factors are more important than others, and some people have more severe problems than others. So each time you do the Mental Fix-It app, you get a score for each item that you tap on as a problem, and the program puts all the problems you've tapped on in descending order of score. The third thing the instant report tells you is which medicines are most likely to help you, and the fourth thing it tells you is it gives you a graph of your total scores. Each time you do the Mental Fix-It app, you get a total score, and it puts that total score in a graph of the total scores of all the times you've done the app, and you can instantly see whether your total score graph is getting better. If your total score graph is getting better, then you're getting better. If it's not getting better, the treatment's not working, you need to find other treatment. The fourth tool is live streaming, which is what I'm doing now. What I discovered is that people love to watch live streaming. TikTok only started in 2016, but it has over 1 billion viewers every month. Over 1 billion viewers every month. And there are various reasons for that. The main reason is that people love scrolling, and the ChatGPT search on scrolling shows that they love scrolling because it somehow lifts their mood, makes them happier. And secondly, it triggers their interest and their creativity. And thirdly, scrolling is addictive. So TikTok gets over 1 billion viewers a month, most of whom scroll. So then I realized that I had to do live streaming. So now I do live streaming 4 times a week, on Wednesday, Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. Perth time, and 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, which I'm doing now, although I ran late because I got tangled up on the technology logging on, because we log on to TikTok and to YouTube Shorts and to Facebook and to Instagram, and that's complicated for someone as old as I am. So the fifth item, the fifth tool for people to help themselves is powder medicines. And why powder medicines? Well, as I've mentioned, the problem with medicines is they're so slow swallowing tablets and capsules, they take half an hour to an hour to start to work and 1 to 2 hours to work strongly. But if you drop powder medicine on your tongue and don't swallow it, you suck it and absorb it through your tongue, it gets into your bloodstream in 5 minutes and starts to help you in 5 minutes and is working strongly in 10 to 15 minutes. And when you start to suffer from a mental distress or an addiction craving, you want medicine that works very quickly. And powder medicine not only starts to work in 5 minutes, it soon causes taste conditioning, and then it starts to work in seconds as soon as you taste it. Your body connects the taste of the medicine with getting better, and then as soon as you drop the medicine on your tongue and it reaches your taste buds at the back of your tongue, it starts to work. So you get help in seconds, and the help is quite strong in 5 to 10 minutes. The sixth tool is pocket powder medicine dispensers. Having the powder in a little bottle with a little scoop was a bit cumbersome and a bit inaccurate, so I designed and developed pocket powder medicine dispensers. So you have your right medicine in your pocket dispenser in your pocket, and then anytime, anywhere, if you start to feel a mental health distress or you start to crave an addiction craving, you just whiz the dispenser out of your pocket, tap it, and drop the powder on your tongue. And within minutes, and then soon within seconds, you're getting relief. And powder medicine has other advantages. You can mix 2, 3, or 4 powder medicines together, so you get multiple effects at the same time. And people with mental health problems never only have one mental health problem, they always have 2 or 3 or more mental health problems. There are 11 common mental health problems, and I sadly remember one woman who had 5 mental health problems. So one tablet doesn't fix all of those things, and people, if you give them 2 or 3 or 4 different tablets, tend to get them mixed up. But you can mix 2 or 3 or 4 powder medicines together, and they take that all in one pocket dispenser, which is not exact, but it's much better than multiple tablets, and it's much better than just one tablet. The seventh tool is a heartbeat meditation aid. Meditation is so valuable for people with mental health and addiction problems, but the people who most benefit from meditation find it very difficult to learn to meditate. In meditation, what you do is you focus on your breathing. You breathe in, you breathe out, you breathe in, you breathe out. You focus on your breathing and you stop thinking about all your troubles, all your stresses and strains. But if your stresses and strains, mental health distresses and drug cravings are strong, it's very hard to stop thinking about them, and focusing on your breathing is not a strong enough distraction to allow you to forget those other things. But your heart sounds are very loud and clear and interesting, and so a few years ago I got a cheap stethoscope and cut it short and made heartbeat meditation aids. That's the hearing part. You just put the hearing aid in your ears and listen to your heart, and its loud, strong, interesting beat is much more attention grabbing, So that's a much better way to learn to meditate. And once you've learned to meditate that way, after a couple of months you can meditate just focusing on your breathing, which is better because you can do that anytime, anywhere without having to carry the meditation aid. The meditation aids we can supply for $25 plus postage anywhere in the world. The 8th tool is also a pocket dispenser. This is not a medicine dispenser, it's a fruit powder dispenser. Why would you want a fruit powder dispenser in your pocket? Well, for two reasons. Firstly, fruit powder is becoming very popular worldwide, and you can go online and find lots of places that produce and sell fruit powder because people love its taste, and they make thick shakes and drinks out of it, and they make sweets out of it. But I felt that taste, which is so important, from the day we're born to the day we die, we put stuff in our mouth and we love it to taste good, and I felt we should harness taste to help people stop putting sugar in their mouth because of the epidemic of obesity and diabetes. Over the years, sugar has gone from being very expensive and only available to rich people to being very cheap and available to everyone, and people love sugar's taste, and sugar is as addictive as cocaine. Sugar is as addictive as cocaine. I found that hard to believe, but do a ChatGPT search on the addictiveness of sugar and you'll find it's as addictive as cocaine. So what we do is we put powder in pocket dispensers, and then when people feel like a lovely taste, instead of chocolate or lollies or biscuits or cake or drinks full of sugar, they just whiz the fruit powder dispenser out of their pocket, drop it on their tongue. Those are not widely available yet. We're having them made in China, but the initial ones which I'm trialing work well, and my favorite powders, vanilla and chocolate. But when they're available, which should be within the month or so, and they're very low cost, you'll be able to get whatever taste you prefer. I buy mine in the supermarket, Coles, but they only have 3. But from the big manufacturers, you can get up to a dozen different fruit powder tastes. The 9th tool, which I started and didn't finish, is what I call phone treasure. Today we've all got our smartphone in our pocket, so why not use the smartphone for the same reason as we use fruit powder. Sorry, I forgot to mention the second main use of fruit powder is for making and breaking habits. Habits are 60 to 65% of our life. Habits are things we do automatically without thinking and happen easily and are hard to stop. And why do we have habits? We have habits because our brain is so busy that it can't do everything we need to do consciously. Our brain focuses on difficult things, on new things, and on things we don't do very often. To be able to do that, it turns everything we do very often into a habit, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit. As we repeat things over and over and over again, the underlying triggers and electrical messages in our brain and nerves and chemical messages in our brain glands, tissues and blood become stronger and stronger until they're automatic. They just happen automatically without our brain having to think or control them. But as our life goes on and as the world changes, we need to change our habits. We need to make new habits, and sometimes we need to break old habits. And how do we do that? Well, to make new habits, we do the new activity over and over and over again. So let's say the new activity is exercise, or it's reading or studying or concentrating or learning to play the piano or learning a foreign language, and we find that somewhat difficult to do it often enough. Well, every time you do it or you think about doing it, you have a lovely taste. And if you have a lovely taste every time you think about it or do it, it becomes a pleasure to do it, and you do it more often, and then it becomes a habit. And how do you break habits? You break habits by weakening their underlying electrical triggers and messages and their underlying chemical triggers and messages. When you delay a habit, it weakens it a little bit. And if you delay a habit and do a bit less of it, that weakens the habit a bit, and then you can delay it longer and do even less of it, which weakens it further. And so you go delay, 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 weaken, do less, until until you break the habit. But breaking habits is very difficult. Take the very addictive habit of smoking. Lots of people want to stop smoking, but it's so hard to do. Smoking boosts our mood a bit, it boosts our energy and helps us to focus and concentrate. So how do we beat that? Well, we have a mixture, powder medicine mixture we call Tobacco Fix, which has got 3 different powder medicines in it. And what you do is whenever you think of smoking, you whiz your Tobacco Fix dispenser out of your pocket and take a dose, or 2 or 3 or 4 doses, and that helps you, that weakens your craving for tobacco, and that enables you to delay smoking. And when you smoke, you can smoke just 3/4 of the cigarette and throw the last quarter away, and that weakens the smoking habit craving. And then when you think about having a cigarette again, you again have 2, 3 or 4 doses of Tobacco Fix powder on your tongue, and you suck it. It starts to work in seconds, and then you can delay the smoking longer, and you could just smoke half a cigarette and chuck half away. And so usually people can reduce their smoking comfortably by 1/4 in 1 to 3 weeks, by half in 4 to 6 weeks, by 3/4 in 7 to 10 or 12 weeks. So in somewhere between 6, 8, 10 and 12 weeks they can comfortably stop smoking. So you can do that with the pocket powder medicine dispensers, or with fruit powder dispensers, or you'll be able to do it with Phone Treasure. things you love on your phone, with your phone out, and look at photos of your grandchildren or of your cat or your dog or your garden or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your mother or your father or people you love, or beautiful mountains or beautiful rivers or something beautiful. And with that you can help to make a habit, or you can help to delay and weaken and break a habit. But I didn't get around to finishing Phone Treasure because I got so fascinated about my 10th tool, and the 10th tool I call Scroll Plus, and I hope this is going to go global and help hundreds of thousands or millions of people. What is Scroll Plus? Well, what I discovered was that not only did people want to watch 1-minute videos or under a minute videos instead of 10-minute videos, they wanted to scroll, and I needed to put my tools, my mental health and addiction tools, into scrollable forms so people could race through everything and find what they wanted. But scrolling is fast. You can race through scrolling because there's no detail, but you want detail, but you just want the detail about the things that are important to you. You don't want 1,000 pages in a medicine textbook with detail about all sorts of things that are not a problem for you. You want to be able to race through everything quickly, find the things that are important to you, and get instant detail just on those important things. So we are well advanced in making what I call Scroll Plus, Mental Fix-It Scroll Plus. There are 92 items of mental health and addiction, items that you want or you need or solutions. And we put these 92 items as titles in a scrollable form, so you can race through these 92 items and just pick the 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 that are important for you. And every time you come to one that's important to you, you can just tap on a 6 to 16 second video that gives you information about that item. And then you keep on scrolling and tapping the 6 to 16 second videos that are interesting to you, and getting some information, some very quick information about them. And when you've had enough of scrolling, you just press the enough button, and when you press the enough button, you get a list of all the very interesting 6 to 16 second videos that you've chosen to watch. And each of those 6 to 16 second videos has a link to a 1-minute video, which you can then tap on and get more information about that important item. So very quickly you will soon, within the next few weeks, be able to tap your phone's App Store or Google Play button, download the Mental Fix-It Scroll Plus, scroll through as many items as you have got time for, tap the enough button, see the videos, the 6 to 16 second videos you've chosen to watch, and then see 1-minute videos. And then you'll get better quicker as you understand everything and learn how to do things that you want or need to do, and how to stop doing things that you need to stop doing things. And then if you want, you can press, you can download the Mental Fix-It app, and when we revise the Mental Fix-It app, that will take 2 minutes instead of 4 or 5 minutes. and that will tell you the 6 of our under-a-minute videos that will help you most. So that's the plan. and I've got the 11th tool in the back of my mind, but I mustn't let myself get on that. I've got to finish tool number 9, phone treasure, and tool number 10, scroll plus. So I now have to stop, and I'll be back again on Wednesday, Friday and Saturday evenings at 7 p.m. and next Sunday morning again at Hi, I'm Neil Beck. I was a doctor in Perth, Australia for 53 years, and I'm very sorry that because of my old age this morning I got tangled up in doing the logging on. I do this live streaming on TikTok and YouTube video and Instagram and Facebook, and I usually do them at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, Friday and Saturday evening, and on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. But this morning I pressed the wrong buttons, so I'm sorry I'm running an hour late. As a doctor for 53 years in Perth, I had 500,000 consultations, home and hospital visits. And we hadn't had a medical school in Perth until until 1959, so we had a shortage of specialists, and family doctors had to do a lot of things that family doctors don't do now. So as well as 500,000 consultation, home and hospital visits, I helped to bring 800 babies into the world. I treated a lot of complicated tummy, chest and head things, I did many appendicectomies and tonsillectomies and vasectomies and things that specialists now do. When I really focused on the consultations and the home and hospital visits, what I realized was that the biggest problem that people have that is treated poorly are mental health problems and addictions. People with mental health problems and addictions suffered terribly and got the poorest help. They got the poorest help because there simply weren't enough helpers to do all the work that needed to be done with the tools that were available. The helpers were therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, and family doctors had to do a lot of help, mental health and addiction help, which they were poorly qualified to do because of the shortage of the professional mental health and addiction helpers. And the professional helpers had 2 tools to work with. One was consultations, talk therapy, therapy, psychotherapy, CBT, group therapy, whatever you like to call it, and talk therapy, counseling therapy was slow. You needed an hour with a new patient to help them to find and understand all their problems and the causes, and explain the solutions and start the solutions. You need an hour for each new patient, and we just didn't have an hour. So talk therapy was too slow, and secondly, it was too costly. To be a therapist, to be a proper therapist, you needed at least a 4-year Bachelor of Psychology, but preferably a 5-year Master of Psychology, or a 6 or 7 year PhD in psychology, or you needed to be a psychiatrist. And to be a psychiatrist, you needed a 6-year general medical degree, and then a couple of years of general medical practice, and then 3, 4, 5 years of postgraduate psychiatric training. So therapists were very intelligent people who'd done very long training courses, and they had to be paid well. So consultation or talk therapy was slow, and it was too expensive for most people. Most people just, could not afford to pay for it, and the free public clinics had long waiting lists, and on those long waiting lists people got sicker and sicker and harder to help. Problems cause more problems that cause more problems that often end up with addictions. And the second tool that mental health and addiction therapists had to use was medicines, and medicines had two big problems. The first big problem was so many of them were addictive. The people who take medicines want to take medicines and get better quickly and stop taking medicines, but the people who make medicines want them to take as much medicine as possible for as long as possible. So they achieve that in two ways. Firstly, they make as many medicines addictive as possible. The commonest mental health problems are worry, anxiety problems, and virtually all the mental health, anxiety and worry medicines are addictive. It was originally the barbiturates, and then it became the benzodiazepine, Valium, Seropax, Mogadon, Xanax, and Ambien and Stilnox. So most of the sleep medicines were addictive. Nearly all the sleep medicines were addictive. And the three main medicines for ADD, ADHD were addictive. That's Ritalin, dexamphetamine, and Adderall. And that caused terrible problems because many or most people with ADD, ADHD in their family were comparatively poor. They had a poor education, they had poor jobs, they got paid poorly, they were often unemployed. They couldn't afford psychiatrists, to pay psychiatrists and psychologists, so they were on the waiting list for public clinic free care, and the public clinics had such long waiting lists that many of those troubled people from poorer areas got street help. The street drug dealers got to them before they got to the mental health and addiction carers, and the street drug dealers only sell addictive stuff. They want you to be addictive because they want all of your money. It's cheap to start. To start heroin costs you less, and it's far quicker than to start mental health help. But it soon gets very expensive, because the way that addictive substances work is, first of all, they give you great relief. A small amount gives you great relief, and that doesn't cost you very much. Secondly, they never cure anything. So the problem keeps coming back, and you have to keep getting the addictive substance again to get the relief. And each time you take the addictive substance, you develop a bit of resistance to it. So you need to take a bigger amount to get the same relief. So you get relief, but it doesn't cure anything, and the problem comes back. You have to take more of the addictive substance to get the relief, and you have to take a bigger amount to overcome the resistance, and that goes on and on till you're taking very big, very expensive amounts of the addictive substance, and you can't stop, because if you stop, you get terrible withdrawals. So the consultation method was weak because it was too slow and too costly, and the mental health addiction problem medicines were a problem, because they were, so many were addictive, and also they were too slow. When you swallow a tablet or a capsule, it takes an hour to go right down your gut and start to get into your bloodstream and start to work, start to give you relief. Half an hour to an hour to start to work, and 1 to 2 hours before it's working strongly, and that's just too slow when you have the onset of a mental health distress or a drug craving. So costly, slow mental health help meant that there was never going to be enough mental health help for all the people that needed mental health help. So what was the solution to that? 22 years ago, I started to develop new mental health tools, because I realized the only way that many people were going to get mental health help or addiction help, and to get it early, was through self-help tools. My first tool about 22 years ago was a checklist, a 20-question checklist that helped me to go through a new patient's problems much faster than an hour. And then I could get one of my assistants, just an intelligent person, not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, to do the checklist. And in 10 minutes I could find out, using the checklist, about a person's problem. But checklists were still slow and cumbersome. Then we developed videos, because videos is the fastest, easiest, most convenient, best way for people to get understanding of mental health needs, wants and solutions. They could watch the videos at home on their screen anytime and as many times as they needed. So the next tool was videos. And my first video about 15 years ago got 10,000 viewings in 9 months, which was very good. So I made another 8 10-minute videos. But then over the years, people stopped watching the long videos, and I found they were watching the TikTok 1-minute videos. So then I had to make 1-minute videos, and I made 83 under a minute videos, which you can see at smilefixit.com, smilefixit.com, or mentalhealthvideos.com, which are my websites, because websites were the next tool. And then the next tool after that was the Mental Fixit tool, the Mental Fixit app, because we realized that apps were much better than checklists. But apps were very expensive and time-consuming to make. But about 18 months ago, we got our first app made, the Mental Fixit app. And people could do that at home, and it was free, and they could do it in 10 minutes. But then I found 10 minutes was too long. So we had to cut the 10-minute Mental Fixit app from 38 questions to 19 questions, which people could do in 4 or 5 minutes. So people could go to Mental Fixit, could go to smilefixit.com, smilefixit.com, and watch the videos and do the app and quickly understand their problems. But then I found that people love to do scrolling. TikTok only started in 2016, and yet today they have over 1 billion viewers every month, mainly because people love scrolling. And why do they love scrolling? I did a ChatGPT search and found that people love scrolling firstly because it seems to boost their mood. It lifts their mood. Secondly, it triggers their imagination and their creativity, and they love that. And thirdly, it's addictive. Scrolling is addictive. So then I realized I had to do live streaming to cater for the scrollers. So my fourth tool is live streaming, which I do on Wednesday, Friday and Saturday evening at 7 p.m. Perth time and 9 a.m. Perth time on Sundays, because we found that we were getting more and more viewers in the Northern Hemisphere, and 7 p.m. Perth time is 7 a.m. New York time and 4 a.m. Los Angeles time. So not very good time in the Northern Hemisphere. So we do the Sunday session at 9 a.m. Perth time, which is in the evening Northern Hemisphere time. And the next tool, the fifth tool, was powder medicines. And why powder medicines? Powder medicines to overcome the problem that swallowed medicines, tablets or capsules, are too slow. When you swallow a tablet or a capsule, it takes half an hour to an hour to go right down your gut and start to be absorbed and start to give you relief, and 1 to 2 hours to give you strong relief. And taking half an hour or an hour to start to work and 1 to 2 hours to work strongly is just too slow for many mental health situations and addiction craving situations. But if you drop powder on your tongue and suck it, don't swallow it, suck it, you absorb it through your tongue, and it starts to work in 5 minutes. And you start to get relief in 5 minutes, and the relief is strong in 10 to 15 minutes. And the problem is overcome much quicker. And then it's even better than that. Soon the powder causes what we call taste conditioning. With taste conditioning, your body recognizes that as soon as you taste the medicine, you start to feel better. And then with taste conditioning, as soon as you taste the medicine, you start to get better. So you can drop the powder on your tongue and suck it, not swallow it, and taste it, and start to get relief within seconds. And the next tool was pocket powder medicine dispensers. Pocket powder medicine dispensers. Having your powder medicine in a jar with a little scoop was cumbersome and sometimes not accurate enough. So I designed and had made pocket powder medicine dispensers, and you have your powder in a medicine dispenser in your pocket, and wherever you are, whatever you're doing, when you start to feel your mental health problem or your addiction craving, you whiz the pocket dispenser out and drop powder on your tongue and start to get relief, at first in 5 minutes and soon in seconds. And it's better than that because you can mix 2, 3 or 4 powders together and get relief for multiple problems at once. People with mental health problems never only have one mental health problem, they usually have 2 or 3 problems. There are 11 common mental health problems, and they usually have 2 or 3 of them. When you've got something physical wrong with your foot, you don't usually at the same time have something physical wrong with your head or your chest. But when this part of your brain is not functioning properly, this part is often affected, and this part is affected, this part is affected. So mental health problems usually come 2 or 3 or 4 together, and I sadly still remember one woman who had 5 major mental health problems, and her life was hell, and she was an addict, of course, a heroin addict. By mixing 2, 3 or 4 powder medicines together in a pocket medicine dispenser, when you take your powder medicine, you can get relief from 3, 4 or 5 things at once. Of course, the mixing of powders is not perfect because some powders are longer acting than others, but it's much better than trying to take 3 or 4 or 5 different tablets, because people tend to get their tablets mixed up, or they like one and take it too quickly, and they don't like another and don't take it. But 2, 3 or 4 powder medicines together in one powder gives a better effect than single powder alone, although some people eventually only need one single powder, which they can get. We can give them whatever they need in their dispensers. So the 7th tool is a heartbeat meditation aid. Meditation is so valuable for people with mental health and addiction problems, but the people who benefit most from meditation are the people who are the most affected by their mental health and addiction, and they often have great difficulty learning to meditate. In meditation, you focus on your breathing or a word, and when you focus on your breathing or a word, you stop thinking about your mental distresses or your addiction cravings, and when you stop thinking about them, that weakens them, and your brain uh, epigenetics gets better, so your brain functions better, and you keep repeating that until your brain is working much better, and you can meditate easily anywhere, just focusing on your breathing or a word. But the people who most need the benefits of meditation often can't learn. But a few years ago I just got a cheap stethoscope, cut it short, and now you can just plug it in. That's the listening part, and you just listen to your heart, and your heartbeats are loud and clear and strong and interesting, and that makes it much easier to learn to meditate. And when you learn to meditate, after a couple of months, you can meditate just focusing on your breathing, and that's the best, because everywhere you go you take your breathing, and your breathing is connected to your mental functioning. When we get a shock, we gasp. When we're worried, some people hyperventilate, they breathe too much, or they hold their breath and faint. So learning to meditate by focusing on your breathing is wonderful, but some people can't learn to do that, and the mental health heartbeat aid helps that, and we can send you a mental health heartbeat mental aid for $25 and postage anywhere in the world. The 8th tool was another powder dispenser, another pocket powder dispenser, but this dispenses fruit powder. And why would you want to have fruit powder? Why would you want to be able to, anytime, anywhere, whiz out a fruit powder dispenser and have a lovely taste of fruit powder on your tongue? My favorite are vanilla and chocolate. Well, you want to be able to do that to have pleasure, to enjoy, without it containing sugar, because sugar has caused a global massive epidemic of obesity and diabetes. Obesity and diabetes everywhere in the last 50 years, because sugar has got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Once upon a time, sugar was so expensive that only the rich could afford it, but now it's so cheap that everyone can afford it, and the food and drink manufacturers put sugar in everything. They put sugar in everything as much as they can, because it's so low cost and people love the taste, and sugar is addictive. The ordinary cane sugar is as addictive as cocaine. I found that hard to believe, but if you do a ChatGPT search or a Google search on the addictiveness of cane sugar, you'll find it's as addictive as cocaine. So over the last 100 years, people do less and less physical work. My grandfathers, one was a farmer and the other was a blacksmith, and they did 60 hours a week, heavy physical work, and they needed 3,000 or 4,000 calories of food and drink a day to do all that work. But today, me and my children just sit at the desk, and we get fat if we have more than 1,500 calories a day, and sadly many people become diabetic. So if every time you think about having chocolate or lollies or biscuits or cakes or a drink with lots of sugar in it, you just whiz out your pocket fruit powder dispenser and have a lovely taste instead. you can help to prevent obesity and diabetes. But also, lovely taste helps you to make or break habits. Taste is one of the most fundamental human things. We have to put food, have food put in our mouths, or put food in our mouths from the day we're born to the day we die to survive. And we love that food to be tasty as possible. So we love tasty things, which is why we love sugar. But we need less and less calories when we're getting more and more calories, because we're doing less and less physical work when sugar has become cheaper and cheaper. So lovely tastes help us to avoid obesity and to avoid diabetes, and they help us to make and to break habits. If you want to make a new habit, say exercise or focusing on studying a difficult book or a difficult program on your phone about some complicated thing, or to focus on learning to play the piano, or learning to play games, you can build that habit much faster by having lovely tasting doses of fruit powder. Every time you think about the new habit you want to make, or every time you do it, you have a lovely taste. And that makes it a pleasure to do that thing. So you do it more often, and the more often you do it, the quicker the underlying chemical triggers and flows become, and the sooner it becomes a habit. Or to break a habit, you break habits by weakening the underlying electrical and chemical triggers and messages. How do you break habits? Well, you can go cold turkey, you can just stop, but that's hard to do. With tasty powder, what you can do, you can delay the habit and do less of it. And when you delay a habit and do less of it, it weakens the underlying triggers and electrical and chemical messages. So you think about doing something which is a habit you need to break, like eating sugary foods, drinking sugary drinks, smoking cigarettes, shooting up cocaine or heroin or whatever. So as soon as you think of that habit that you're trying to break, you have a lovely taste. You just whip the fruit powder dispenser out of your pocket and have a lovely taste, and you focus on that lovely taste and try not to think about the habit. And as the lovely taste fades, you have some more and some more. It only costs a few cents a pop, so you can have as many pops as you want, and you manage to delay and to do less of the habit. And that weakens the habit, weakens the underlying triggers and electrical chemical messages. Then you can delay it a bit longer and do a bit less of it. Say, for instance, cigarette smoking. When you think of smoking and you want to stop smoking, but you want to smoke, you have a lovely taste powder, and you can delay smoking for 15 minutes. And when you smoke 3/4 of the cigarette, you can chuck the last quarter away. And that delay and less smoking weakens the triggers and underlying electrical and chemical messages. So the next time you can delay smoking for 20 minutes and then for 30 minutes and only smoke half a cigarette and chuck half away. And what you can do is you can fairly comfortably reduce your smoking by a quarter in 1 to 3 weeks and reduce it by a half in 4 to 7 weeks and reduce it by 3/4 in 8 to 12 weeks and quit it in 6, 8 to 10 or 12 weeks fairly comfortably. So, tool number 8, not yet available. I've just got the initial 100 ones for trials and to sort out the bugs, and soon we are having 5,000 made in Ningbo in China, and you'll be able to buy them, and they're very cheap. And you can buy lots of different powders. I buy my powders for these trial ones in Coles supermarket, and they only have 3, and the 2 that I like best and most people like best are vanilla and chocolate. But you can go online and there are fruit powder dispensers all over the world, because it's becoming increasingly popular to flavour thick shakes and drinks and sweets with fruit powder, which people love and isn't fattening and doesn't cause diabetes. But and the 9th tool I call phone treasure, and the 9th tool is to put lovely things on your phone which you can whiz out and watch or listen to anytime, anywhere, just like you can whiz out the fruit powder dispenser. So when we develop the phone treasure package, you'll be able to have lovely things on it, lovely photos of your grandchildren or your cat or your dog or your friends or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mum or your dad or people you love, or your garden, or beautiful rivers or mountains or anything that you love on your phone treasure, and sounds, people talking, saying things that you love, or music that you love. So phone treasure, tool number 9. But I couldn't finish tool number 10 because I got so excited about tool number 10. So what is tool number 10? What I suddenly realized is that I had to put my mental health tools, as many as possible, into scrollable form, because people love scrolling. TikTok started only 9 years ago, and yet it has over 1 billion viewers a month. Over 1 billion viewers a month worldwide go to TikTok. And what do most of them do? Most of them scroll. They just love racing through lots and lots of information. And so I did a ChatGPT search and a Google search. Why do they love scrolling? They love scrolling because seeing all that stuff seems to boost their mood. It gives them a lift. And secondly, it fires their imagination. They see all sorts of new, interesting things, and it triggers their imagination and their creativity. And the third thing is, of course, it's addictive. So I realized I had to make my tools addictive, except I decided to make my tools into a Scroll Plus, something you can scroll and race through everything you want, but you also get detail on the things that you want. So you can get what you need out of a 1,200-page medicine textbook, but 98% of it you don't want to know about it. There's just a bit that you want to know about. And what I found was in mental health and addiction, there are 92 items that you want or need and are solutions. Think 92 items you want, need, and are solutions. So I turned them into a scrollable form that you can scroll through very quickly. But you want detail on the things that are important to you. So as soon as one of the scroll items is important to you, you can immediately tap on it and see a 6 to 16 second video which gives you some information about that item. And then you keep scrolling, you find another item that's important to you, and you tap on it, 6 or 16 second video, and then you get some information about it, and then you keep scrolling. And when you've had enough, you tap the enough button, and when you tap the enough button, it immediately gives you a list of all the 6 to 16 videos that you watched. And you can then tap on them and watch them again and work out which ones are the most important ones for you. And they'll be different to what's important for other people. And each of those 60 second video, 6 to 16 second videos also has links to 1 minute videos. So what's important, you watch this 6 to 16 second video, and then you know that that's important to you, and you watch the 1 minute video. So you can immediately re-watch any 6 to 16 second videos you want to watch again as many times as you want, and then watch their linked 1 minute videos. And you can repeat that as often as you want, Whiz your phone out, go to Scroll, Mental Fix at Scroll Plus, do the scrolling, confirm the items that you are interested in, and see their 6 to 16 second videos very quickly. And when you scroll for the third time, the program doesn't show, it hides the items, all the items that were not of interest to you. All the items you didn't bother to watch the videos, it hides them. So then you can scroll in seconds the things that really are helpful for you, and you can watch the videos really quickly. And then what you can do is you can tap the Mental Fix It App. Now the Mental Fix It app at present takes 2 minutes on Android phones and 5 minutes on iPhone phones, but soon it'll be 2 minutes on both. And you'll be able to do that 2 minute app check, and it will give you the 6 mental health and addiction videos that will help you most. And you can watch those 6 under a minute most helpful videos in 6 minutes. So very fast, a few seconds to download the Mental Fix It app, 2 minutes to do the app questions, and 6 minutes to watch the 6 videos that will help you most. And the instant app report also tells you which medicines will probably help you most. And it also gives you a list of all the things that you've tapped as a problem with a score and a total score. Because each thing you've tapped gets a score. It depends on how important that item is, and it depends on whether you tapped mild, moderate or severe. And the program then gives you all the items you tapped, with the most severe, then the second most severe, third most severe, and so on. The fourth item, the app, Mental Fix It app instant report gives you, is a total score graph. So every time you do the Mental Fix It app, you get a total score, and that score gets put into a graph. And as soon as you look at your instant report, you can see your graph, and you can see whether you're getting better. If you're getting better fast, that's great. You're on the right treatment. Keep going on that treatment. If you're getting better slowly, better look and see if you can find some other treatment. If you're not getting better, you're on the wrong treatment, and you know straight away you have to go through the whole process and make sure you find what does truly help you. Well, so that's the tool number 10, Scroll Plus, and we're working flat out on that. I've been working on it for 6 weeks now, and my tech assistant has been working on it for a few days, and within a few weeks you'll be able to just whip out your phone, go to App Store or Google Play and download Scroll Plus. Yeah, tool number 11 is in the back of my mind, but I mustn't start to think about it because it's so important that we fix the pocket fruit powder dispenser, the phone treasure, and the Scroll, Mental Fix It Scroll Plus. So I have to say goodbye now. I'll be back again on Wednesday, Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. Perth time and 9 a.m. Sunday time. I'm very interested in what you have to say. I want to hear as many comments, questions and criticisms as possible. I can't talk to individual people because there's so many watchers. There's usually nearly 1,000, but we've had up to 8,700 viewers in the early days. Mental health and addiction is very complicated, but really it boils down to about 92 items, so I repeat myself a lot. So a lot of people have seen it so many times they stop watching, but we keep repeating things for the new watchers, and we can't talk to everyone, but I whatever platform you watch this, the Mental Fix It, the TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram or Facebook, whatever you watch it, please send me your comments, questions and criticisms, and I'll respond to them there. Some in the next hour, some tomorrow. And I also always respond to emails, and the email, if you want to email me, is spelt how it sounds, healthestuff@gmail.com, healthestuff@gmail.com. And if you can't remember that, remember smilefixit.com, smilefixit.com, which is the website, and you'll find the email address there, and email me and I'll definitely email you back. So bye for today. See you again on Wednesday.